Hello, can you see my slides?
Yes, Doc.
Can you see my slides?
Yes, Doc.
Yes, Doc.
Okay, so we will start at exactly 8. How many are you now? 81. So how many are you in pharmacology class?
99 po, Doc.
99, sige. So we're gonna start at 8:10. Okay, so to give time to those who are still trying to enter our link.
Thank you po, Doc.
I think it's already 8:10, so can we start? We are 83 in this class attending today's lecture. So can we start?
Yes po.
Okay, so Vic, please, did I make you my co-host? Not yet, no. So help me admit your classmates once they are here.
Opo, Doc. Thank you.
Okay, so we need to start in time so that you can have a travel time into the school for those who will be having their face-to-face SGD later. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today we'll be discussing another group of chemotherapeutic drugs. No, so they are will be tackling more or knowing more about this folic acid antagonist and your and drugs that are considered to be urinary tract antiseptic. So I'm Dr. Pepito, and I'm one of your faculty for the section of pharmacology. So basically, our Bible for our class, we can actually read other books, but just before reading other books, for clarification, make sure you already master these two books because they're really very helpful for us to understand the concepts of pharmacology. And I urge you to really grasp the latest edition of this book. No, they are coming and already sold in the market to be updated. Okay, so I incorporate some of that in this lecture. But there's only small difference or small updates, no, in terms of our topic for this morning. Okay, so the katsung and then the other one is your lipincut. Okay, so basically this morning we're gonna start with our folate antagonist. No? So what are folates? So folate, folic acid. You all know that's what vitamin is that? Vitamin A, B, C, D, E. What vitamin is folic
B9.
acid? Yeah, it's
B9.
vitamin B. No, it's vitamin B9 specifically. Okay, so this vitamin is essential uh, in order to make our DNA, RNA, amino acids. It's this function as a coenzyme. No? So in the absence of this folate, the cells cannot grow or divide. So we human being, we cannot make our own folate. We need it from the outside source or diet. No? What are the food rich in folate or folic acid? Anyone from the class? You're eating it almost every day. So anyone from the class, foods rich in folate?
Egg po, Doc.
Hello.
Lettuce, Doc.
Egg, green leafy vegetables, fruits, no? Avocado, papaya, daghan, no? You can Google it if you like. So anyway, the point is we human being need outside source of folate because we cannot make folate on our own. No? In contrast, bacteria, they can make their own folate. No? They can synthesize their own folate de novo. So that's why this information is um, very important or hint for those are the chemists before, the pharmacists, the doctors, scientists, that this information that the bacteria can make their own folate, it is a good ground or a good avenue for making drugs. So that's why the drugs that we'll be tackling this morning was made, no? The sulfonamides and our trimethoprim, trimethoprim and pyrimethamine. So basically, me personally, every time I'm being toxic in memorizing drugs, especially in pharmacology, I am. So what inspired me to memorize is the fact that we are so blessed or we are so lucky that we are the doctors in this generation because you imagine if you happen to be born on those times wherein there is no drug or there's still in the time that they are yet discovering those drugs, no, you'll be amazed by how they able to come up the eye that they are in order to make certain drugs, like the drug that we will be tackling this morning, we need to inhibit their certain kinds of enzyme. No, this is a very tedious job on their part. So every time you will murmur that what there are a lot of drugs to memorize, just think of yourself very lucky, because our at this point of time, our job as doctors is just to memorize, to understand, to correlate. No, very easy compared to their time. No. Um, Hopefully you were able to realize that, because I realized that earlier in my medical journey. No? So anyway, so my point here is that this is a very good information on our early, scientists, chemists, or doctors. That this is a good avenue to develop a drug, no, a drug that could inhibit, the formation of this what they call as the DNA, the RNA of the bacteria. So basically, if we look at that, I will annotate. Inform me if you can see my annotation. This one, can you see it? Can you see it, Ra?
Yes, Doc.
Yes po, Doc.
Sige, ako na lang mouse. Okay. This one, can you see my mouse?
Yes po. The blue one, Doc.
Yes, Doc.
Yes.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. Okay, sige. Anyway, so let's start. This is a very good pathway for us to understand, no? Why those drugs that we'll be tackling later on is a very good drug. No, it's a very good chemotherapeutic drug. So number one, this is the pathway in making your purine or your DNA, RNA, no, and a certain amino acid. So for bacteria, this is for bacteria, ha. Actually, this is also for human being, but for us humans here, we start already with from the diet. You already have your dihydrofolic acid, and we just need this enzyme, dihydrofolic reductase, in order to make your tetrahydrofolic acid. Now, for bacteria, they have these two pathway in order to make, again, the synthesis of your RNA, DNA, and certain amino acids. So first, PABA, then acted upon by your enzyme dihydropyruvate synthetase in order to make dihydrofolic acid. Now, with the help of the enzyme dihydrofolate reductase, able to come up or make your tetrahydrofolic acid in the making of your DNA, RNA, and this amino acid. Okay. Now, microorganism, okay, again, the microorganism uses this enzyme both, no, in order to make your DNA, RNA, and amino acid. Now, drugs such as your sulfonamides, no? So they are drugs that are known to be synthetic analogs of your para-aminobenzoic acid, diba? So what happened is that our chemists, scientists before able to come up a drug that is more or less structurally very similar to PABA, no? And look at the structure. If this is the para-aminobenzoic acid structure, wherein what is attached is your carboxylic acid. You're able to make a drug exactly more or less the same, no? But just differ on one of the side chains. Look at that, the SO2 and H2, 4-sulfanilamide, SO2 and H, another ring, and SO2 sulfate and H, another ring. So these drugs compete with PABA. So since, diba, it's an inhibitor, competitive inhibitor for biochemistry. So these drugs compete with PABA and able to inhibit this very important enzyme, no? Dihydropyruvate synthetase. So because of that, because it inhibits this enzyme, your dihydrofolic acid will not be formed. Okay, isn't it a very amazing, no? When you'll be the one to discover this very important discovery, so you'll be also be very lucky. But at that, on our part, we just have to memorize that this is very amazing. They're able to come up with a drug exactly the same or structurally similar to PABA, but in comparison to PABA, this drug inhibit the enzyme, so therefore there is no formation of your dihydrofolic acid. Okay, so this drug are known to be bacteriostatic, your sulfonamides. Okay, so now knowing those facts, again, sulfonamide inhibit, it's a drug that is structurally similar to your PABA and inhibit a very important enzyme, dihydropyruvate synthetase. So because of that, your dihydrofolic acid will not be formed. So therefore, decreased production of your DNA, RNA, so no formation, or it holds the formation of your bacteria. Now, very important for us to understand this concept. No, when we are studying chemotherapeutic drugs, very important for us is to ask ourselves, what are those organisms that are susceptible to this drug? Because of course, not all organisms can be killed or inhibited by this kind of drug. So that's why I already emphasized that, no, on especially in my SGD class, that if you're considering a drug, if you are dealing with a patient with infection, you first ask yourself what possible organism causes this infection, no? So that's it, and this is from that point you'll be um, choosing the best antibiotic that could fit, because a lot of times, ideally, again, especially for those those what we call as complicated infection, we really need to get culture, no? If it's a UTI, then you get to have, before initiating any antibiotic, no, we need to get culture, because at least we can identify what kind of organism is causing that infection. At the same time, after you get the organism, there's also a susceptibility testing. It will help you give you an idea what possible antibiotic you will give. But of course, if you are facing with a very toxic patient, you always start with an empiric antibiotic. No? Anyway, let's go back to this discussion. For organisms that are known to be susceptible to our sulfonamide, they are the one that is enumerated. No, your Staphylococcus, your Nocardia, your E. coli, no, Klebsiella. Your E. coli, again, a very prominent causative agent for your UTI. Your Klebsiella pneumoniae, Salmonella, Shigella, Enterobacter species, Chlamydia trachomatis, and then this is very important one. No, this is a word exam question. These organisms, two organisms, your Pneumocystis jirovecii, before it's Pneumocystis carinii, and then your Toxoplasma. So there are these very important organisms that can be inhibited or susceptible by sulfonamide. So other organisms, it's also very important, but my point is these other organisms that that we tackled, the gram positive, gram negative, these organisms can also be killed by other or inhibited by other antibacterial. No? But in comparison to these two, the others, or this one, very limited drugs these organisms are susceptible. So that's why we will appreciate later. No, we're on the reproductive block, no, especially on the AIDS HIV patient with AIDS already defining illnesses, no. So you will in your discussions or in studying those diseases, you see that one of the medications that are given by the doctors are these drugs, no, your cotrimoxazole, because these organisms, no, they are susceptible to this drug. Again, did you get my point? No? My point is, again, I want to emphasize that because this is what they call as a general rule when you're dealing with infection. Number one, empiric, because you don't know what organism it is, but at least you know more or less UTI, common cause, E. coli. So what are those drugs that are susceptible to E. coli? So this is the option that I need now. Now, there are drugs, very important also you to know that there are drugs that are considered not susceptible, and even worst case scenario is even you stimulate their growth if you give sulfonamides. And what are those diseases or organisms? Rickettsia, no? Rickettsia, no? I know you already you already known these organisms in your microbiology and parasitology. Yours sulfonamides, no, your folate antagonists are also very poor. Has also has a very poor activity against your anaerobes, no? Your Clostridium, no? Your anaerobes. So if you are suspecting anaerobes as a causative agent for that kind of infection, then don't then sulfonamides or folate antagonists is not a good option. What else? Another organism that is intrinsically resistant to your sulfonamide antibiotics are your Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So if you are suspecting this organism, so again, your antibiotic, your folate antagonist is not a good option. Okay, so take note of that. Now, when will your organisms considered resistant to your sulfonamides? What is the mechanism? Again, very important, of course, those organisms who will not make their own folate, but they get it from the environment. Of course, they are naturally resistant to the drugs, diba? So what makes this drug, what makes this drug good is, or target for this folate antagonist is that they make their own folate. So for those organisms that take outside folate as source, so they are not susceptible to sulfonamides. Again, what else? Acquired bacterial resistance because of plasmid transfers or even mutations that cause overproduction of PABA. When you have a lot of PABA that your sulfonamides cannot inhibit all, then it's basically not responsive to your drug. What else? If you are the organism is having an enzyme, your dihydropteroate synthetase, that has low affinity for your sulfa, of course, it will not respond to the drug. And also, for if your sulfonamide is less likely to be permeable to the person that you're given, so this also more or less makes it less susceptible to the drug. Okay. Now, regarding with the pharmacokinetics of this drug, it is categorized into oral absorbable, oral non-absorbable, and then the topical ones. Now, let's start with our oral absorbable. So there are three popular drugs or three popular sulfonamides, no, that has therapeutic use. So first is your sulfamethoxazole. If you happen to know cotrimoxazole, then the SMX there is your sulfamethoxazole. The tri there is your trimethoprim. So this drug is available most of the time, always, no? Fixed dose combination. You always have it combined with trimethoprim. So later on, you will know why. No? What else? No, there's a lot of use of this drug. We're gonna discuss it later. Another oral absorbable sulfonamide is your sulfadiazine, and again, it is paired with another folate antagonist. It's pyrimethamine. So sulfadiazine plus pyrimethamine. So this drug is a very good drug in the treatment of your acute toxoplasmosis. No, this is very popular again in treating infection caused by this organism, especially on the group of people that are considered immunocompromised, no? HIV. That's why naano silang regimen, no? Especially when they're already very sick, no? This is a part. Another one is your sulfadoxine plus pyrimethamine. So again, it's again paired with another folate antagonist. So this drug is also used in the treatment of malaria. So again, three na sila. Sulfamethoxazole paired with trimethoprim, a lot of use. This is a very popular of all. Sulfadiazine plus pyrimethamine. This is good in the treatment of acute toxoplasmosis. And the third is your sulfadoxine, again paired with pyrimethamine. This is also a good drug for the treatment of malaria. Okay, so this is absorbable. Let's go to the oral non-absorbable sulfonamide. So what is that? That's sulfasalazine. I already know this drug from our GI block. No? So this drug is very good in the treatment of your inflammatory bowel disease, no? Specifically our ulcerative colitis. So this drug is not absorbable in the stomach, but it is split by the intestinal flora into sulfapyridine and 5-aminosalicylate. So this 5-aminosalicylate is the very important component of the drug that has anti-inflammatory effect, diba? In mga ulcerative colitis, this is an inflammatory condition of your intestine. So basically, this drug is not absorbed, but it is split by your intestinal flora, and it acts basically in your intestine. So that's why this is very important in the management of those conditions affecting our intestines, so ulcerative colitis, enteritis, and other IBD. Okay. What else? So this is an example of the drug that the oral sulfonamide. Again, very popular. The co, that's co. Try me, no? Cotrimoxazole. So the trime here is the trimethoprim. Oxazole is your sulfamethoxazole. It has a lot of use, no? If you happen to be before going to med school, if you happen to work, especially on the rural areas, no, or in the public health, this is very popular before. So a lot of people in the province really know it. Even they self-medicate with this drug. So at least you know it. This is a folate antagonist drug. So sulfasalazine, again, this is an oral non-absorbable drug that is very good in the treatment of your inflammatory bowel disease. So where it acts in your intestine, where in your intestinal flora, split it, and the active ingredient that causes its effect is your 5-aminosalicylate. Okay, so the other drug, very good also, sulfadoxine pyrimethamine. So what's the use of this drug? Anyone? Sulfadoxine pyrimethamine?
For malaria, Doc.
Okay, treatment for malaria. There are also other drugs for malaria, but at least you know that there is a folate antagonist that can be also very effective in the management of your malaria. The sulfadoxine, again, as you can see, they always work with another folate antagonist. Okay, for your sulfamethoxazole paired with trimethoprim, your sulfadiazine and sulfadoxine paired with pyrimethamine. Okay, so another sulfonamide that is also a very good drug and can be used topically. So first, sodium sulfacetamide. So this drug is used as an ophthalmic solution in the treatment of your bacterial conjunctivitis and in patients with trachoma. No, what else? For patients with burn, no, you have two options. The other one, your mafenide acetate, which is also sulfonamide, and the other one is your silver sulfadiazine. So in between the two, the more popular and one that is more used is your silver sulfadiazine. Why? No, very important also. This is also a board exam question. Your mafenide acetate, no, it has its another effect of inhibiting your carbonic anhydrase. So it has a propensity to cause metabolic acidosis. So that's why doctors preferred to prescribe the other topical sulfonamide, which is silver sulfadiazine, instead ivermectinib. No? So basically, if you happen to have burn, this is a very good option, no, for burn wounds. Okay. So some example, no, your sulfacetamide, sodium sulfacetamide, used in the treatment of your bacterial conjunctivitis and your trachoma. Again, your mafenide, not so popular now. And then your silver sulfadiazine. So this is very popular and used also, very and used, no, for the treatment of burns. So now, very important also, no, this support is some question, and please remember it. So these are very important adverse effect, no, that it's not all patients is expecting to experience it, but it exists, no. So again, very important. The reason why this drug again is not popular for common use. Example, diba, E. coli can always is one of the option, no, for UTI. But if I'm a doctor, I'll choose another drug in the treatment of the UTI for my patient rather than this one. Why? Because of the following effects, no? Because of these side effects: crystalluria, hypersensitivity, hemolytic anemia, and then kernicterus. Okay, now let's start first with its one of popular, it's not common, it's not common actually, but a lot of cases. So this drug, especially those patients who have whose renal function is really not good, um, it's considered nephrotoxic. It causes crystalluria, nephrosis, and allergic nephritis. Now, look at that. These are the crystals that are precipitated in the urine of patients using this drug, sulfonamide. So your sulfonamide, especially in patients with urine with acidic pH, neutral or acidic pH, it has a propensity to develop crystals, what's it called as crystalluria. So that's why if you want to use this drug to treat UTI, just make sure that your patient is well, adequately hydrated, and even if you're really not sure, you can add sodium bicarbonate. So dagan na kay kag ipainom sa iyong pasyente. So again, so very one of the side effects that can exist or that can occur in our patients, especially those patients whose kidney function is not good, is crystalluria, able to precipitate crystals, no? So again, how will you do to minimize the side effect? Adequate hydration and alkalinize the urine. Okay? Doc, di na lang kung I will not choose the drug na lang, Doc. What if you don't have any more option? No? Especially for HIV/AIDS, with PCP pneumonia. You really need this drug. So at least you know how to mitigate this problem. No? Okay, another one is your skin reactions, your rash, Some patient really kanang develop rashes, And worst is your exfoliative dermatitis and Steven Johnson. It's actually rare, but this is serious and fatal, So if you happen to prescribe it to a patient and later on, so that's the purpose of follow-up, when you already become a full-fledged doctor and you're already practicing, that's the purpose of having your patients in the outpatient follow-up with you. Especially if you are prescribing this drug, you always tell mom it has a very rare side effect, but it can occur. That's the purpose why we really need to study everything about the drug, because when you prescribe a drug, you also include what is the worst case scenario if you take this drug. But of course, when you give the drug, you're always looking at the positive side of it, the benefit that far outweighs the risk. Again, this drug, it has the propensity to cause rashes, And even the worst is your Steven Johnson, Wherein, there is an eruption of your skin, So look at that, fetal skin eruption and mucous membrane eruption. So this is rare, less than 1%. But what if you're part of the less than 1%? So that's the reason why this drug is not that popular anymore, because of this possible adverse reaction that can occur. What else? As already told you, it can also cause hematopoietic disturbance, especially in those patients with G6PD. Again, the newborn screening, diba? A lot of our mothers already know that their patient is already has G6PD. So those patients that have G6PD, no, because you put them at risk for hemolytic anemia. So again, diba? As already told you, what is the mechanism of action of this drug? So it inhibits your dihydropteroid synthase, So it affects we human being pwede can also have also these reactions if it because it also affects the blood cells, especially if it's already been paired with your trimethoprim. The different hematopoietic disturbance will also be happening. Again, this is also a board exam question. So those newborns, they must not, or those your children, will not be given by this drug, especially or even pregnant women in the third trimester must not be given with this drug, because sulfonamide is known to be an avid binder to your albumin. So albumin, basically, the bilirubin is the one who binds to your albumin. But if you are taking sulfonamides instead of your bilirubin binding to your albumin, your sulfonamide displaces the bilirubin and it is the one that binds to the albumin. So your bilirubin is left in your system. And for children who has a very delicate, no, the delicate still blood-brain barrier that is still immature and not fully developed, this bilirubin can go up to the brain. So it causes your kernicterus. No? So that's why must not give it to pregnant women, specifically on your first and third trimester. Okay, so what are its effect on the other drug? So it has the sulfamethoxazole that's known to potentiate the effect of the warfarin by inhibiting your cytochrome 2C9. So if it inhibits your cytochrome 2C9, it results to a reduced clearance of the warfarin. So there is increased warfarin in the system. So if we really need to give warfarin, especially for those who have valvular, no, your heart valve defects. So what will you do if you're giving cotrimoxazole? Then you decrease the dose of your warfarin, because knowing that it can increase the warfarin in your system. What else? Other drugs that has known to be affected by cotrimoxazole, co-administration is your methotrexate, no? It also displays it from protein binding. Also your phenytoin. So again, contraindicated in newborns because of the risk of your kernicterus, and your infants less than 2 months, and of course your pregnant women, no? And very important also is you must not give it together with your methenamine, because your drug methenamine, this is a urinary tract antiseptic. So its mechanism of action is that it produces formaldehyde that makes the urine acidic, diba? You don't want your urine to be acidic when you're giving this cotride, because it will precipitate crystals. So no na silang dua. You must not take this together. Okay? Now, we're done with the folate antagonists that inhibit our dihydropteroate synthetase. Now, let's go to the folate antagonists that inhibit our dihydrofolate reductase. So what are those drugs? Your trimethoprim and pyrimethamine. Again, so what sulfonamide is your trimethoprim paired up? Anyone from the group? Anyone from the class? So what sulfonamide being paired up with trimethoprim to have synergistic activity? Anyone? I just discussed that.
Sulfamethoxazole.
Yes. Oh, how about the sulfonamide paired up with your pyrimethamine? There are two.
Sulfadiazine and sulfadoxine.
Okay, very good. So now again, these drugs, the folate antagonists, most of the time they are paired up to have a synergistic effect. Okay, so again, let's go back to our pathway. Start with PABA, no? The help of this enzyme, able to make dihydrofolic acid. So it doesn't stop with dihydrofolic acid in order to make your DNA. It must still be acted upon by another enzyme, dihydrofolate reductase, in order to make tetrahydrofolic acid and then your purine. So that's why if you want really to have a bactericidal effect or a very potent effect in inhibiting the or killing the organism, you need to inhibit the two enzyme. So again, that's the reason why they already paired up. They always paired up together in order to have a synergistic effect. Okay. So now let's focus first on our dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor. So that's your trimethoprim. Again, a while ago, I discussed that your sulfonamide is considered bacteriostatic. Static na siya, kahira man, one raman yung, it only inhibits one. But if you compared it with the other one, it's already bactericidal. Okay? Resistance again. So same with your sulfonamides. If there is overproduction of the enzyme dihydrofolate reductase, of course, it overpowers the effect of your trimethoprim, no? Or if able to produce a dihydropteroate reductase that has a reduced drug binding, no, to your folate acid antagonist under your trimethoprim or pyrimethamine, of course, it also overpowers the effect of your drug. No? So pharmacokinetics, it can be given alone. No? There are cases cases that you can give oral trimethoprim alone, no? or again, combined with sulfamethoxazole. This is well absorbed from the gut and it is distributed widely in body fluids. This can also be given IV. No? There are also an IV preparation for your cotrimoxazole. This is more lipid soluble than your sulfamethoxazole. That's why, di ba, ganina, you see that sample tablets 480 milligrams. Actually, the 80 milligrams there is your trimethoprim. Your 400 is your sulfamethoxazole. So it's 1:5 ratio in formulation. So basically, it is also excreted in urine, 50 to 60% of it. In patients with impaired renal function with urea clearance 15 to 30, you need to lower the dose, no, to half. It also concentrates in your prostatic and vaginal fluids. That makes it very good in infections affecting the urinary tract. Okay, so again, so this figure helps us appreciate, no, the effect if they are given together. So this is your infection, no drug with trimethoprim alone, with sulfamethoxazole alone. But if you're giving both drugs, so grabe, no, there is a drastic bacterial growth inhibition. Okay, and that's because of what reason? It inhibits two very important enzymes, no? So if you inhibit the two important enzymes, then it really kills your bacteria. So it has synergistic effect. Again, balik-balik for you to understand and memorize, no? Two very important enzymes by the co, no? If you already add the two, no? Two inhibition of the two sequential steps of the pathway, no? Again, as what I've said, your trimethoprim, most of the time, your sulfamethoxazole, diba, is always paired with trimethoprim or your folate, dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor. But there are cases that your oral trimethoprim can be used alone. No? Acute UTI given 100 milligrams twice a day, and your bacterial prostatitis. So again, clinical use, as what I've said, your cotrimoxazole given for pneumocystis carinii or Jirovecii pneumonia, UTI, because it is because your E. coli, the bacteria C, or your organisms that cause UTI is susceptible to prostatitis, Shigella, Salmonella, non-tuberculous mycobacteria, nocardia, and even your Stintrophomonas maltophilia. So this organism, this usually come up or increase, no, in patients who are immunocompromised. Respiratory tract pathogen, such as your Haemophilus, Moraxella catarrhalis, Klebsiella pneumoniae, but again, not your Mycoplasma pneumoniae. Staphylococcus, both methicillin susceptible and methicillin resistant. So, we have cases before na kanabit ang mga methicillin resistant Staph aureus, and if you happen to be in a far-flung barangay and you don't have any more drugs that is available, and you're suspecting a methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus infection, this is also a very good option, no? Your cotrimoxazole. Again, in terms of dosage, so you have your this is a high dose, the 160, 800, no? So again, the 160 here is a trimethoprim, the 800 is your sulfamethoxazole. So UTI, prostatitis, uncomplicated skin and soft tissue infection, especially caused by your Staphylococcus aureus, no? Shigella, Salmonella, no? Infection. Again, your Pseudomonas, your Pneumocystis jirovecii in suppressed patients can take the double strength once a day or 3 times a week. So those infection caused by your Staphylococcus aureus bone and joint infections, you can take it at 8 to 10 milligrams per kilograms per day, and so on and so forth. Okay. So again, it can also be given IV. I told you, from moderately severe to severe pneumocystis pneumonia. So kanig yun, no? Especially for PCP pneumonia, really need to give this drug. So it's an IV preparation. So 400 per 80 per 5 ml, diluted in 125 ml D5 water for 60 to 90 minutes. So again, other dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor that's also very useful. Again, balik-balik na po, your pyrimethamine plus sulfadiazine, the treatment of your toxoplasmosis. So very important in this slide is This drug, your dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor, are prone to cause bone marrow suppression. Diba? So, how will you mitigate that? So, you mitigate that by giving another drug, eucovorine or your folinic acid. It's not folate acid, it's folinic acid. Eucovorine or folinic acid, it's 10 milligrams once a day. So you give that in order to minimize the bone marrow suppression caused by this dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor. Okay? Again, another drug for malaria, your pyrimethamine plus sulfadoxine. As in, you will interchange it with sulfadiazine. This is sulfadoxine. So again, adverse effect, usually taken together, but if you're just giving the dihydrofolate reductase, again, you're more or less hematopoietic disturbance, no? Diba? You will be decreased, you have decreased folate, so the risk is, or trace for megaloblastic anemia, leukopenia, granulocytopenia. This is also very important adverse effect, no? That's also a board exam question, that this drug is also can cause hyperkalemia because this is potassium sparing. So if you have patient who have the kidney function is not that good, no? Again, your excretion for your potassium is basically on the kidneys. So they have the propensity to spare potassium, or that's why your patient will be prone to hyperkalemia. Okay, so summary. Again, your cotrimoxazole is very effective infection caused by Staphylococcus, or especially your methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. This is also very good in treating your listeriosis, no, caused by Listeria monocytogenes, no, especially your it involves already septicemia and meningitis. What else? Again, especially your trimethoprim, it has a good it has a high concentration in your prostatic and vaginal fluids. That's why in patients with prostatitis is also very good. No? So patients who also have chronic infection with UTI can also be given with cotrimoxazole. What else? Respiratory infection, di ba? Haemophilus influenzae, Klebsiella pneumoniae. You can also give cotrimoxazole. That's an option. But again, it's not what we call as the drug of choice. No, if you have other option, then you can choose a drug that is more safety, has good safety profile. But again, if you don't have any more option, mitigate the possible adverse effect. Again, this is very good. We have a very limited option in cases of pneumocystis, Jirovecii pneumonia, and toxoplasmosis. So you need to give this drug. Okay. Now let's go to another category of drugs that are known to be used as urinary tract antiseptic. No, very common ang UTI, borag maghilak, no, your practice we know cases of UTI. So basically, very very prone to UTI are women. No? Already discussed that in the previous SGB. So first line therapy, and very popular for the managing of UTI because of its coverage with the organisms that are causing the UTI are your quinolones and cotrimoxazole. But again, resistance to these antibiotics are increasing, no? Because what we discussed earlier. There are actually three common drugs that are used as urinary tract antiseptic. No? These drugs are used when the manifestations basically in the lower urinary tract. What are those manifestations? Painful or burning urination, no? Your urinary frequency, the cloudy urine, foul odor urine. So instead of giving the broad spectrum medications, no, your Cotri or quinolones, if you're just suspecting a lower urinary tract infection, cystitis, you can choose this urinary tract antiseptic, no? Your lithiamine, diflurantoin, and your fosfomycin. So why is that, doc, that we can choose this one? Because number one, this is very good, efficacious, especially if you're just suspecting E. coli, no? And what's good about this drug? It is high concentration in the urine. What else? Less resistance that's happening to this drug. What else? It's more specific to the organism. It's not the same with the other, like example, your Cotri and your quinolones that has a wide coverage ba? It can also kill organisms or even kill your normal flora that is not actually been producing any sickness. No? So again, if you have to have a patient that is just considering acute cystitis or lower urinary tract infection, you can always choose between the three: methenamine, etiferentine, and fosfomycin. Again, let's start with methenamine. Okay, for methenamine, what's the mechanism of action? Well, it's very good as urinary tract antiseptic. So it is hydrolyzed to your ammonia and formaldehyde. And between the two, uh, what uh, what is the active ingredient causes your being a urinary tract antiseptic is your formaldehyde. No? So again, in order for it to be very effective, the urine must be acidic. So no, again, no with Cotri. So formaldehyde is the one that is responsible for its urinary tract antiseptic function because formaldehyde denatures protein and the nucleic acid of the bacteria that causes the cell death. No? So usually it is combined with a weak acid to maintain urine acidity and promote production of formaldehyde. No? So again, urinary tract antiseptic methenamine, it is broken down, hydrolyzed to your ammonia and formaldehyde. The active ingredient here that is causing its effect is your formaldehyde. But again, if you want it to be very effective, you need your urine to be acidic. So there are times that they add hipporic acid to make it acidic to make it very effective. Okay, so what is a spectrum? Again, it can be used in patients who have recurrent UTI. This drug can be used as a chronic suppressive therapy to reduce the frequency of UTI. Again, very important for those organisms that can cause UTI, very specific. E. coli, Enterococcus, Staphylococcus. No? Some activity with Pseudomonas and Proteus. But again, if you want to achieve an active bactericidal activity, keep the urine acidic, opposite with Cotran. Again, benefit for methenamine and other urinary antiseptic is the lack of the selection for resistant organism. It is orally absorbed. It reaches the urea through tubular secretion and glomerular filtration. No? So, meaning it has high concentration, no, in our urine. So, again, because it will produce, diba, another one, when hydrolyze ammonia and formaldehyde, because it produces ammonia, no with patients with hepatic insufficiency, because you will push the patient to hepatic encephalopathy. Okay, so what else? Adverse effect, common reported is your GI distress, no? Abdominal pain, higher doses, it may cause albuminuria, hematuria, no? And rashes, no? So again, it is contraindicated in patients with renal insufficiency. Again, balik-balik, sulfonamides such as Cotri react with formaldehyde and must not be used together because it will increase the risk of crystalloria and they have mutual antagonism. And the other one, nitrofurantoin, this is a very good drug. So what's mechanism of action? So before, this is a first-line drug for uncomplicated cystitis. It works by inhibiting your DNA and RNA synthesis. This is also very good in treating E. coli, Klebsiella, Enterococcus, and Staphylococcus. It is rapidly absorbed, and nearly 40% is excreted and changed in the urine. No? So it is well tolerated, no? Adverse effect niya is again GI gihapon, no? Siya vomiting diarrhea. This is a very rare complication. This is also a board exam question. The chronic use with nitrofurantoin was associated, or there have been a reported case of pulmonary fibrosis, no? But especially if the patient is taking it more than 1 month, so it will react with the lungs and makes the lungs fibrotic. So na cases with patients who are using it chronically for recurrent UTI that they report or they follow up with complaints of dyspnea. And when CT scan is done, it's already pulmonary fibrosis. So this is a board exam question. That's why if you want to choose it as urinary antiseptic, don't use it in a very long time, no? In order to decrease the chance of having this pulmonary fibrosis, neuropathy, and autoimmune hepatitis. Now, also a very good drug. I prescribe this to my patients, no? who have uncomplicated cystitis, the fosfomycin. Okay, so this is available in flavor, no, orange flavor. And what's good about this drug is it's just a single use. Once on siya ignon, no? So this is cheaper and only a single dose. So this is a very bactericidal drug. It's derivative of phosphonic acid. So the mechanism of action of um, being a urinary tract antiseptic is it blocks cell wall synthesis and it inhibits the enzyme enoyl pyruvyl transferase. So it's a very important enzyme in order to make peptidoglycan. No? So one of the component in the cell wall. No? Again, this is very good for UTI caused by E. coli, E. fecalis. For acute cystitis, you can give this one. No? Cross-resistance with other antimicrobial agents is unlikely because it's very unique structural formula and mechanism of action. Okay, so adverse effect in which I also have experience of a patient complaining of this is that diarrhea, doc, my stool is basa, no, loose. I just told them it will just pass, no, meaning after the siguro a few days lang, it will just go back to normal. It's very, very, very effective, no? It's rapidly absorbed after oral administration and distributes well to the kidneys, bladder, and prostate. And excreted in actin form in the urine and maintains high concentration over several days. That's why it's given only one dose. No? I have 3 patients this prescribed with this, and they're very, very happy because they're really relieved. At the same time, only one, no, just prescribe one sachet, and it's very effective. Okay, so again, this is only for those uncomplicated cystitis non-pregnant women. But actually, pwede po ni sa pregnant. Okay, so now we have our application sa atong mga drugs. So again, you're not just only memorizing those drugs. We are trying to know a little more about the drug because they are very important, effective. And at the same time, we have a lot of cases almost in our practice having those diseases that can be treated by those drugs. Like this one, no? The fosfomycin, no? Nitrofurantoin. So in pregnant patients of asymptomatic bacteriuria, so meaning when you do culture for pregnant, no, bacteriuria not all times. Again, for non-pregnant patient who complains with the signs and symptoms of UTI, no need to do urinalysis. No? But in pregnant patients, we need to do culture. So pregnant patients or patients that will have a urinary tract instrumentation, so really need to treat that. So these are the options. As you can see, there are also cephalosporins that can be an option, but you have your fosfomycin, your coamoxiclav, for our discussion this morning, your nitrofurantoin, no, Cotri that can be used, but again, Cotri, it's the last if ever you need to. If there is no more drug in the market, this is the last. But you must avoid it in the first trimester and specifically in the third trimester, di ba? Third trimester because of the risk for the kernicterus. First trimester, again, this is the formation of the organs of the babies. And again, di ba? Remember, it's a folate antagonist, di ba? When you are pregnant, you really need to have, we need to have a folate every day, especially for childbearing women. We need to have at least 0.4 milligrams a day in our diet, no? Because especially if you are pregnant, you need to have a high dose of folate. Okay? Because you have already babies inside, and this, especially on the first trimester, that's the formation of the brain. If you have low folate in your diet, then you're at risk for your NTDs. So again, my point is, if you really don't have any more medication available in your farm barangay, it's only cotrimoxazole, you can use its category C, but no in the first and the third trimester. But of course, this is the least of the option if you have other drugs available. We can give cefuroxime, fosfomycin, coamoxiclav, and nitrofurantoin. Okay? What else? Application, no? This is for uncomplicated cystitis. As you can see, no? Very popular. Primary pagani, no? Yeah, diba cystitis, no? Fosfomycin. So, again, if the complaint of the patient, no fever, just urinary tract symptoms, no need to prescribe your Cipro, your quinolones, your cephalosporin. You can choose, of course, no? The urinary antiseptic. Fosfomycin, you look at that, 3 gram single dose. So, not sold locally maning monohydrate. What is available in the market is nutriofurantoin macrocrystals. This is 100 milligrams 4 times a day. So, if I'm a doctor, I would choose fosfomycin. Me personal choice because it's just single dose. No? Alternative, so second line na lang. Only if with proven susceptibility. Pwede siya, di ba? But of course, not the priority. Okay, the try. What else? No? For those who have recurrent UTI, di ba? Nitrofurantoin, that's the reason why there are cases of your pulmonary fibrosis because a lot of the patients of recurrent UTI use that, no? But this is now not because of that incidence. So this does not use in chronically. Diba? Trimethoprim can also be used, no? Kotray. So these drugs are also very good for recurrent UTI. Fosfomycin, we also have this 3 grams every 10 days for patients with recurrent UTI. What else? Okay, I think that's the last one. Very short discussion. So hopefully you learned something from our discussion this morning. Any question? Any question?
Doc, I have a question po.
Sige.
Just curious po, Doc, for the ones you discussed earlier about the oral sulfonamides, is it always necessary to be paired with an additional drug?
No, that's the Kotray. It is one drug, but 2-in-1 ba? Most of the time, it's not available alone. It's always combined with the dihydrofolate reductase. It's 2-in-1. So only one medication, but the formulation for that drug is 2-in-1. Your sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim, all paired. Imagine, you look at the pathway. No, you only inhibit one. If you only give your sulfonamide, only this one is inhibited. So, pwede pa gid siya ka-form. Sa bacteria, bacteria nga site, still can form your DNA. So, that's why this is just bacteriostatic. So, that's why we really need to have it we really need to have it paired with your, what's that? Dihydrofolate reductase. You look at the market, if na by plain sulfonamide. As drug, as medication.
Mura siya, Doc, in anticipation nga if ever naapay other pathway ang bacteria to still form the main product, i-prevent gihapon niya.
Yeah, that's I think that's in the mind of one who formulated it. Okay. Imo pa when you make a drug, why you make it kana give opportunity pang my point is if you just give it alone, the sulfamethoxazole, even the resistance is very high, no? Okay, of course, the bacteria are also very, very intelligent. Can always pas ang ka-develop ang resistance if only the sulfamethoxazole. So you of course do a drug that has synergistic activity that can kill both the pathways, and the effect is bactericidal in comparison to just a static when you'll be given with sulfonamides. So pareha na siya sa imong kuan ba anti-TB, di ba? So anti-TB is always marketed, especially already in your what you call as your katong face pa that really need to kill the bacteria. It's 4-in-1, di ba? Rifampicin, isoniazid, pyrazinamide, ethambutol. Because when they try to formulate it, only one grabe ang resistance, no? And it's very difficult even karon, very alarming because of a lot of resistance cases, no? So again, number one, we need to combine both because we really need our drug to be very effective, no? Second is it's formulated with a synergistic activity because it's more efficient if given both. Okay? What else?
Thank you for that.
Sige, any more question? It's still 9:09. Sige. I'll ask Abad Makabanding. So, what is of all the topics that I discussed, the concept that I discussed this morning, which of those concepts strike you most and share to the class? Abad? Absent?
Excuse me, Doc. Can you repeat the question po, Doc?
Okay, so of all the concept, the topic of that I discussed this morning, which of those concepts strike you most, and share to the class what you learned from that certain concept of this folate antagonist and urinary tract antiseptic.
So, actually po, Doc, as a medical student na coming with no walang masyadong background sa pharma, no? One concept that really struck me the most is yung I was able to learn yung combination, yung how to combine yung mga drugs like what you have just said, yung combination of like for example, the combination of sulfonamide, sulfamethoxazole with trimethoprim. Doon ko pala nalaman na it's not when you try to like for example, when you try to treat a particular disease or a particular illness, no, as much as possible you have to inhibit the entire pathway and not only deal with not only inhibit a particular enzyme wherein parang masasabi mo agad-agad na that drug alone can already treat it since it inhibits that particular pathway. As much as possible, you have to inhibit all those enzymes necessary to kumbaga, you have to inhibit all those enzymes in that pathway para hindi na bumalik yung or para matreat na agad-agad yung disease po. So kasi kasi for me I always have parang a difficulty grasping po paano yung mga combination therapies and such. So that's when this is where I parang somehow I really fully understand na it's mostly on the pathway itself, particularly on the entire pathway pala in treating a particular disease as para kumbaga para yung effect niya is synergistic and not only on a particular enzyme. So it's more on in the entire pathway pala po, Doc. So that's one really concept that strikes me the most po, Doc.
Okay, so very good, no? So again, when you study a drug, no, this is applicable to all. You always you always understand the implication for the mechanism of action, di ba? Di ba mo mag-ask, why after I take paracetamol, why is my fever subside? No? So, di ba, it's not how amazing pharmacology is that could explain, no, why will I take this drug? It's a very small pill that cures this disease. So what happened inside my body? So it's in very what you call as deeper na, but it's a very good understand. You could explain more. It's a very good on our part to understand those concepts. No, it may not be. It's difficult to what you call that verbalize because a lot of it probably ang terms ba, but I mean just very amazing, no? At least on our part lang, di man na nimo, you cannot memorize, you cannot speak it at one time. Just make it a habit. You see a drug, palit ka sa market, I'm sick, so I need to drink, or I was prescribed with amoxicillin clavulanic acid. So why is this drug cure me? What is the possible organism causing this infection? Di ba? Application na yun. No? It's more an application of all the subjects that we're tackling. So even from that sickness alone, when you are sick, able now to review your microbiology, parasitology. The organism that possibly causes my infection. This can be a streptococcus. So what are those drugs in which streptococcus is susceptible? No? So, na po ka. So, why is the doctor prescribing you this amoxicillin clavulanic acid? So, what's the mechanism? No, it's very what can appreciate and amazed. No, every time I studied pharmacology before, I'm really amazed by those people who were able to discover those drugs. So make that it also is your inspiration, no? At the same time, we as doctor, that's our what do you call that? Muna to ang ACE, no? Wala tayo lang ihatag sa pasyente. It's medication. So you might as well love pharmacology, love drugs, because we are using that to treat people. No, it's not like, doc, I don't have a background. So it's not an excuse. Excuse pa na siguro first few weeks or 1 month in entering pharmacology. But after you get used to it, then you could appreciate the diet. Okay? So any more questions? Hopefully that would serve as an inspiration for you to love pharmacology. This is a very useful subject. No? Very useful subject, not only if you want to be an IN, pedia, family medicine, but as a doctor, this is a very, very good subject, critical subject that you need to love, no? Not just to pass. Okay, so any more question para at least you can have an earlier, you can prepare for your SGDs. Wala na?
So far po.
Everything is
Okay.
clear.
Okay, that's good. So anyway, you study. I don't know when is your exam, but I already submitted my questions to Dr. Araneta. So if you listen to my discussion, it's all in my discussion. And I will not give my slides for the reason that I really want you to read the book. No, I don't want you to study the slide of our slide, no, because it's all in a book, no. It's different when it's you who discovered it in a book, and then it's just feed on me. Okay, so you can take a screenshot just for you to what you can review when you already read the book many times. Okay, so anyway, if you don't have any more question, we can dismiss the class. For those under me, if it's okay with you, if it's already ready, anyway, we just have an online SGD. We can start as early as 9:30 so that we can end the class early, and you can proceed and you can take your lunch early and you can have your afternoon class lying. Okay, so any question before please take a picture of everyone. Vic, please assign, or anyone can take picture of the whole class for attendance purposes. Ano yung nagkuha? Vic, ano yung nagkuha? Somebody took picture na?
Doc, I will ask for our class secretary.
Sige. I don't know how to manipulate yun. I will check, ha?
Okay, mag-assist ka lang ako.
Smile.
Okay.
Smile.
Yes, kasi nakita nila ha.
Wala, orang.
Okay.
Idok.
Okay, are we done?
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc.
Thank
Thank you, Doc.
you, Doc.